Friday, the final day of the week. These are the voyages of the program Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Its ongoing mission to explore strange new movies, to seek out new bits and new edifications, to boldly go where no radio program has gone before. Elkant's Movie Club. It's Elkant's Movie Club. Elkant's Movie Club. It's Elkant's Library Club.
Disgusting.
Called a book club, you moron.
Yeah.
Well, but book didn't
Are you
work.
in a library club?
Yes, we're in a library club. Well,
Hi, Kent.
Welcome to today's
hello.
library program.
Hello, Kent.
I can't.
Looking good
Hi,
today, by the way. I like the fedora, the matching hat and shirt.
Oh yeah, class all the way here.
Oh yeah.
Nothing but.
Nothing but class, exactly, on this program.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been having fun with the idea that Josh is making me read another movie again.
I'm gonna start just picking foreign films every 3 weeks.
There's one
in
I
the movie
absolutely
club.
would
well,
pick if it was
in
streaming
that
anywhere.
case, you're gonna be in trouble because then I'm gonna pick movies I know you will not like.
Well, like what?
There's one that I know
we
you
don't want
would
to.
like.
The idea of movie club is not to weaponize the movies. It's to-
I mean, that's what I've been
it's to
doing.
enjoy them.
Yeah, that's what literally Stibbs has been doing the whole time. He's like, I've
It's the
seen this
weirdest
movie.
thing I
That's
can
true.
think of.
That's
Start picking
true.
some new movies, Stibbs, for once.
Well, Josh, why don't you get us started? Because
Yeah.
this is a movie. Now, there is a familiar actor in it, even though it is a foreign film
Mhm.
from Denmark,
Mhm.
correct? Denmark.
Denmark, yeah.
Yeah. And
Mads
so-
Mikkelsen.
yeah, you will recognize Mads. He was in
I remember you saying that, and then I went to look up what he was in, and I realized very quickly why I didn't recognize him because
You've
he's
never
in, like,
seen Casino Royale?
all the
Never
Star
saw-
Wars
yeah.
or Bond. I haven't seen any of the new Bond movies, which I
Really?
hear are great.
Whoa,
I know.
Stibbs.
Or
Casino
the Star
Royale
Wars
is
movies.
awesome. And then he
Yeah.
was also on Hannibal, the television show. which
Yeah,
is-
he was great in Hannibal.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was incredible
I
on
could
that.
see that. He's pretty creepy looking.
Yes, he was indeed Hannibal.
but the movie is Another Round.
Yeah, so basically this movie is there are teachers at a school in Copenhagen, and they are, I don't know, I almost describe them as like having a midlife crisis where you can see that they're really not enjoying a whole lot of things anymore. They go out to celebrate one of the characters. There's 4 of these guys go out to celebrate one of their 40th birthday parties. And they talk about this theory that we are all born having a blood alcohol content like lower than what we actually should be. That we're negative.
0.05% lower than what our body should always
So
be.
in theory, if you are always at 0.05%, then your life, you live more free,
Yeah,
you're
you're
more creative.
Optimal physical
Yes.
level.
And so they decide, like, hey, let's do this. Let's see what happens. And they'll, like, it's a study. And they're,
Yes.
you know, they're writing down notes. And that's kind of how the movie begins. And, you know, for a while, it's a lot of fun, and everyone does seem a lot better at their jobs, and they're freer. And of course, they have some of the initial, you know, like, oh my gosh, where do we hide the booze? And are they going to get caught at school? Yada yada yada. And of course, in a movie like this,
blown into breathalyzers in the stall in the bathroom
in the bathroom
stalls.
stalls, they're sneaking in vodka. And of course, in a movie like this, things are going to eventually go dark, and it changes relationships, and all sorts of stuff happen. So that's kind of I'd say, is there anything else?
It's a very quick synopsis of how it works.
Yeah. So here's the question that I wanted to ask you, Kent, to begin, and without, I don't know if we want to spoil a whole lot, but the tone of the movie, it shifts a lot, kind of as I just mentioned. The ending tone, I was a little surprised by, given how the previous half hour or so had gone. What did you think of the overall tone and the shifting of tones in this movie?
Well, this is a very European picture, okay? And so the first of it is really, really dark comedy.
Yeah.
Is what it is, right? If you think about it. And then it sort of shifts into this, you know, the tone of you're paying the price for your foolishness before. And that ending, that very last scene sort of turned that whole ending upside down in a way,
Mm-hmm.
right? because it seemed one way and then it ended just the opposite of what you would think. And I think that's what makes it, that gives a movie some punch, right? But it definitely is not a same tone all the way through the picture, right? And you got to know what you're, in a way, what you're looking at, that the dark comedy plays a lot differently if you know it's a comedy, right? If you know this is supposed to be funny in that European sense, than if you're just watching it going, well, this isn't like punchline funny and it isn't all that dramatic. But if you get that, then I think the tones work.
I mean, I honestly, I didn't think the ending really changed a lot for me. I thought, if anything, it kind of brought everything up at the very end, because things were starting to get a little, I don't know if dark is the right word, or at least
yeah, very dark,
but getting gloomy, there at the end. And then and it did end on a high note, and it left you feeling like, hey, it's all going to work out in the end for these guys, even though it doesn't.
Most of them
doesn't necessarily for one in particular. The thing that the part of the movie I enjoyed the best was when they first started drinking.
Yeah.
And the Mads Mikkelsen character, who plays a history teacher. And you can see, you see him in class in the first scene or two. And he's just like, he's like one of the worst teachers you could have. Just
totally checked out,
boring,
rambling,
so bad that the parents actually come in and try to figure out what's going on. They call him into a meeting to try to figure out, what his problem is. And then he gets into this experiment where he sneaks some vodka into the men's stall and blows a 0.5 on his breathalyzer, and his little portable breathalyzer goes in and just starts riffing with these kids, and all of a sudden becomes the cool teacher. And I thought that was kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the things I thought that the first time I saw it in the theater was, you would never get away with making this movie in the U.S.
Why do you think that?
A movie about teachers that are getting drunk on school time and don't pay some serious price for it. I mean, that would be a sin against everything here,
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, Ken. Sorry to interrupt you, Stibbs, but like one of the things that is noticeable inside of it is how different drinking culture is over there compared, because like the movie begins with this what game, I guess you could call it, with all these high school kids that involves drinking. In one of the lessons, I think it might have been the first or second lesson, first or second lesson that the Mads Mikkelsen character has, he asks one of the students, how often do you drink? And like, that's something, I don't remember a teacher at my high school ever asking that type of question in class. And so it just shows how different everything is.
And that
there.
You would actually answer it truthfully.
Yeah. Because he's like, I have 55 drinks a week.
and then even his
Wednesday Champions League is going on.
That's not a spoiler. In one of the arguments with his wife, she says something about how it doesn't bother her that he's drinking. It's that he's like kind of disconnected from her.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not that you drink like a whatever. He goes, she's like, the whole damn country does that. So
Yeah.
there's all these little like hints as to like that country
culture.
enjoys, and that culture enjoys their alcohol. So it is definitely, you could pick up on the differences in that aspect. I did like the ending, like you guys were talking about. I liked the change in tone. I liked the callback that they kind of did with him being in the mood for the entire movie of not wanting to show off his jazz ballet dance moves, even though all his friends are like, you're great, we want to see it, blah, blah, blah. And then kind of the callback into that.
He was great doing that.
Oh,
that
it was cool as hell. It was
It's not like they brought in a stunt double.
I was smiling the whole time that scene was happening. It was great. I did find myself throughout it, just as far as the premise is concerned, of kind of questioning like how they're like trying to like do this and I know that was kind of part of the comedic value, but how they're trying to do this kind of scientific, like, well, maybe if we just keep it here, blah, blah, blah. And then they're all like surprised, like, holy crap, it works. We're all happier and better at this. I kept finding myself thinking, of course you're happier when you're drunk. Like, how is this news to anybody? Like, yeah, I'm gonna have a lot more fun with anything I'm doing if I'm a little buzzed up. Like that, I kept finding myself going back to that a little bit. It didn't ruin the experience for me by any means, but I found that kind of funny. But yeah, I really did enjoy the ending. I really liked. It was small-ish, but I loved the relationship between Tommy, the coach, and
Yes,
the
and the
little
little
kid,
kid,
little
Specs.
dorky kid. Specs.
I was worried that Specs was going to drink the vodka at some point in time.
There was a point where he tossed it, and I was
no.
like, "Oh!"
I literally was like, "Oh no!" Yeah.
And it luckily never came back there because I thought the same thing as soon as he threw that water bottle.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously how that relationship kind of went on as the movie progressed and how it ended in the movie and all that. But I thought that was adorable, and how when the kids scored in one of the games and Tommy was losing his mind and all three of the other friends were down, like the only people watching the game for that team, just going ballistic, like, you're the best coach ever.
Yeah,
I thought I enjoyed it a lot. I really liked that kind of offshoot story and relationship in that.
I think we would be negligent not to mention that the director, whose name I have subsequently forgotten,
Thomas
is nominated for the Academy Award for Best Director.
Oh, really?
For this film?
For this movie. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that is extremely unusual that a foreign language movie would get a Best Director nomination.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess that tells you something of the quality that the direction of the picture, which is what we're really talking about in a way when we're talking about tone and how it works these different sort of little offshoot stories into the main. That all it comes from direction as much as anything else. And I think it's I very well made movie in that sense.
Yeah, along those lines, Ken, one more kind of on the tone. I thought that the way he handled the director, that is, the scene, basically there's a scene where they decide to get blackout drunk. They're like, let's see what happens when we just get absolutely hammered. And it's really like, it's a fun, 10, 15 minutes. They end up at this bar. One of the characters is playing a piano. They're singing, they're dancing, they're doing all this stuff. And then the next time that they decide to drink, like a couple of them have had fights. One of them has gotten home and urinated on himself, and that one is just like dark. And sadly, I imagine we've all probably had one of those nights where you're drinking to forget something, and it's just like a horrific experience. And I thought that the way he was able to make drinking seem like the funnest, coolest thing ever, and then like the worst thing where you leave and you're like, why do I ever drink? I thought that that's like a really good balance to have, and so for him to be able to do that really multiple times throughout the movie, I thought was pretty good.
Yes. And when they went to the store was another
oh my gosh
classic.
Yeah, they're falling all over the place, yelling at the worker.
Yeah, and I think it was necessary too, because for a while there, it's making it look like, because you mentioned a little bit ago, Kent, how could you possibly even think of making this movie in the United States? I think you needed that balance.
Yes.
Of, hey, this is working for these guys. It's making them seem like better teachers. But then there has to be a breaking point.
There are consequences.
There has to be consequences. And I thought it did a pretty good job of showing how dark the consequences could get in all of the characters' storylines.
Yeah.
Not just one or two, but all of them. I agree. And even to some measure with some of the kids.
Yeah, that's true.
They weren't as pronounced, but which is what adds to that ending as well.
Yeah, and along those lines, one of the things that I kept thinking of throughout the movie is how much do the students know? How much do the other teachers know? Because there's there's a meeting late in the movie where the principal is mentioning that there are these rumors going on about this, and the characters are stumbling over their words at times. And so you're wondering, how much do these people in this universe really know? And Stibbs mentioned the Mads Mikkelsen character, his wife, and what she says to him. So I liked it. I thought it was a really interesting movie, certainly a very interesting premise. I thought that the performances were pretty good too.
And given the premise, I thought, could you really do that? Could you sort of drink all the time and keep at that same level, right?
We're about to find out.
Yeah, I've already started.
Yeah, so far so good. Kent.
Friday.
Wouldn't
Will.
it would give it away like
That's
the
what I kept
fastest,
thinking. Which
you
is
know?
why
Like
one of
having
the
mint breath suddenly all the time. Like, you'd be like,
one
what
of
the
the
hell,
dudes,
Josh?
and even that never gets to the like
No,
gone.
no,
and
no,
now you
no.
you smell the mix.
Yeah.
But that's why one of the guys started snorting the vodka.
Yeah.
He was like, I noticed it doesn't affect your breath as much. And then they show him do it one time, and I was like, ow.
Ah!
what the hell?
When he did that, I thought, what? You know,
Ugh.
I'm guessing that was water that the actor did it with.
Yeah, I would
Can
think.
you
Unless they wanted a
imagine?
true reaction.
Yeah.
Vodka up your nose?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
It hurts bad enough down your. Yeah, I'm going to stop that sentence.
Also, I've never had. I'm not a vodka fan. I've never had good vodka. That early scene when they're like the chilled vodka, I was like, okay,
with
now
the water.
now I
and
kind of
the-
want to try good vodka. I've never had good vodka
Yeah.
before.
Well, you spend money on the vodka.
Yeah.
The cheap vodka is bad.
I had a bad experience. The first bad
Same.
experience with drinking was with vodka. Basically,
Screw
sworn
you,
it off.
Bartons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give me bourbon.
not a big fan of the vodka here, friends. Just
I liked it, Josh. I'm glad you picked it. I'm
Yeah.
glad. I don't know that I would have watched it otherwise, and I thought it was a good movie. I liked the ending a lot. Also, the relationship part of it. I thought there was a good, like you said, all the offshoot stories. There was a really good kind of love story throughout it as well, even though a lot of it didn't really revolve around the love aspect of it. But the way they tied everything in at the end and kind of made you smile going out after all these horrific things kind of happened I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
even though I had to read the whole damn thing, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty
I had
good.
to say it.
I would have preferred to, actually be able to see.
He wanted
and
to
hear the
watch it
movie.
dubbed, Kent.
Yeah.
now listen, all y'all get upset about dubbed movies, but remember, I grew up on the original Godzilla movies,
Yeah.
and they were all overdubbed, and I was used to it. I almost thought it was normal, so I would have been fine. But either way, it worked, and it is a unique premise.
Yeah.
The idea of this study that if you live your entire life at 0.5% alcohol,
0.05.
0.05, not
0.5.
I mean, good luck.
You're living your life at
Yeah, you can have it more.
0.05.
I got that confused for a while too, because when they would show
The comma.
they
and
would
the-
show the extra percent, whatever that math symbol is. That
Uh-huh.
it would say 0.5, but it was in 1/10% or whatever the hell it was showing.
Yeah.
So the first time they showed that,
You're
I was
like,
like, did they screw up? Like, is that where this movie's going? I was like,
They
oh
hammered?
no.
Okay, if you're at 0.5, you're dead.
You're dead.
Yeah, that's
You're
true.
you're
Good
dying.
point.
Yeah.
0.05
Mhm.
alcohol content. So that is another round. Well, Stibbs, you know what? I'll make it.
Are you doing? Are you throwing him a bone?
I'll throw you a
I mean,
bone.
it's not
here.
me a bone.
Well,
but
I
yeah.
couldn't.
Oh man.
I meant to spend more time trying to find another film, but
I have a feeling Kent may have seen this one too, so we might have just made his life easy again for another week.
sure. It's out on HBO Max. I just
And in
mentioned
theaters.
I mentioned Godzilla. Godzilla versus Kong.
A true cinematic masterpiece.
And I won't have to read this film.
No, you won't.
Oh, I was hoping he'd be like, actually,
You might not even need the sound on.
oh,
Oh, you
I have a
want the
feeling.
sound.
I have a feeling the dialogue isn't going to be incredible, but
I'm interested to see how my.
I would say you're correct.
thank you, Kent.
Oh.
Are there any known stars in this?
Godzilla and King Kong.
I mean, like the other Godzilla
I don't
remakes,
think
you had
there
Bryan
is.
Cranston. You had
No.
Roderick.
I don't think
At
there's
least nobody I knew.
Okay. Well, that makes it easier then. Maybe a new star will be born.
I was telling him,
in
Ken,
this
I
film.
wanted a reason to have to watch. Like, I know what it. I mean, I don't know, but I know
They're gonna
what
fight.
I know
Stips.
what type of movie this is. I understand, but I'm kind of in the mood for
Turn off your
a
brain.
brainless popcorn movie. And now that John picked it, I can have an excuse instead of just saying like, yeah, I chose to watch that movie on a Friday night.
Whoa! Before
I can-
y'all go crazy here,
I can
Kyle
say-
Chandler is in this
Oh
movie.
hell yeah!
The coach from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, Stibbs doesn't
the
like.
TV
Oh,
series.
Coach, what's his name? Cool.
Yeah. So
Nobody knows
Coach
that guy's
Taylor.
name.
So he's
Yes,
in it.
they
That's
do.
what I'm saying.
I love Kyle Chandler. He's a good actor.
He's good, but no one knows his name.
I hope he doesn't die. Don't spoil anything, Kent.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, we
Yeah,
will.
now when I say I've watched it, it's not that I chose to do it. I'm like, well, I had to for the movie club. So even though I do kind of want, I do kind of want to watch.
Face there.
I'm gonna pop some popcorn, and I think I'm gonna get to 0.05 blood alcohol content, and I'm gonna watch this movie.
And enjoy
You
it.
might need a little beyond 0.05.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
How about
0.5?
How about 5%? Would 5% do it? So yes, we'll go with Godzilla versus Kong next week. Streaming right now on HBO Max.
Just tweeted out the link.
But it is also in theaters. I'm
Stibbs,
looking.
are you gonna pay money? Go see it in theaters?
I mean, that is the type of movie you want to see on a big screen.
Yep.
But I don't know that I want to pay to see it.
Now, I don't know how tempted I am right now at this point to go out to theaters, but the new movie that is out right now with Bob Odenkirk.
My parents saw it.
Is getting some really good reviews. Ken, I don't
They
know.
loved it.
Have you seen Nobody yet?
I have not.
I heard Odenkirk on the Howard Stern show this week do a long form interview, and
I bet that was awesome.
oh, it is fantastic.
I bet that is
It is fantastic to hear about all the things.
Ooh,
that
I still
Odenkirk
have
has
our
done.
old boss's sign in. I get to go watch those. Nice. Thanks for the reminder.
So yeah, they just did it this week. Howard Stern thought the film was great.
Yeah, my uncle, I think, has seen it twice already and drug my parents out to go see it. They went to Village Point where they had a ton of, said there were like 12 people in the entire theater, ton of social distancing.
That's my kind of movie.
They loved it. Every time I've seen them since then, like, have you seen it yet? You got to go see it. It's incredible.
All right.
Yeah, the movie theaters here, if you're thinking about going out, as far as the COVID stuff, you're going to be fine. The protocols they have and the seating, I suppose the most people I've been in a theater with is maybe 15 total.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Tenet last summer, and there was like 3 other people in there.
Yeah.
It's so empty.
And I think we'll start to see more movies starting to come back. Probably mid-summer would be where my guess is they'll really almost get back to a release schedule like we saw a year, before all this started.
Awesome. Sweet.
Well, we can't wait when it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, we'll just watch Godzilla versus Kong on our smaller screen
Indeed, we will.
and pop our own popcorn.
Yeah. And have our bathrooms close by.
And have our bathrooms
we can
close
pause
by.
the movie too.
And the alcohol close by, so
Yeah,
we can
alcohol close
maintain that 0.05.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yeah, well, if you go to the right movie theaters, you can get a drink. And
That's true.
That is true.
And trust me, that would be recommended.
I can't wait to watch
I guess
this
Kent
dumb
loved
movie.
it.
I can't wait to watch this dumb movie.
I know.
All right. Well, there it is, the movie club for this week. Kent, enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. And we'll talk to you next Friday.
Oh, I'll be watching some basketball. That's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a pick for the Final Four for the national championship? Have you been watching the tournament?
Me and everybody else in the world that picked Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have enjoyed watching UCLA. I've managed to watch the entirety of all of their games just by chance. Once they beat Michigan State, I thought, well, this might be kind of fun just to follow them pretty closely. But I'm afraid their run has come to a halt.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you imagine telling somebody born, or who was around in 1973? Yeah, UCLA's in the Final Four, and they are a decided underdog.
Yes, and they were an 11 seed.
And
Yeah.
an 11 seed.
Yeah, they'd be like,
First of all, they'd say, "What's an 11 seed?"
Good point.
And secondly, it'd be like, "What?
They want to play in game. Playing game.
What's that?"
Yeah.
All right, Kent. Well, we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
There he is, Kent
Bye, Kent.
Wolgamott of the Lincoln Journal-Star.
Jet says about an hour and a half of 2 monsters screaming at each other. It's bad. That's Godzilla versus Kong.
And then I replied, he listens to this radio show.
That's true. 2 monsters screaming at each other while one very handsome person sits back.
Gets
and,
stomped on all the time.
You think I'm
Stomped on.
handsome? That's nice.
You got another button up on today, Stibbs.
Do.
Yeah. And I haven't seen you in a hat. When's the last time we saw Stibbs in a hat?
I wore one last night.
January?
Yeah, but
February?
But we're talking here,
Yeah.
upper middle
I
or lower
almost
middle
wore my
manager.
Mariners hat today, but I didn't want to rub it in too much.
Do you wear hats on Saturday when you come in on the weekends? Saturday or
If
Sunday?
I don't do any, if I happen to have one on when I'm flying to get here to fix something, then yeah.
Nice. Nice.
What could possibly be breaking?
Yeah,
I came in
everything's
a tie-dye,
always
a
perfect.
ripped up tie-dye t-shirt and sweatpants the last time I came in on a Saturday. So I wouldn't call that professional.
Hey, you're coming into work on a Saturday. That's professional
Right?
enough, Stibbs.
That's right.
I care.
He does. He does. He cares a lot. So Godzilla versus Kong, for those of you who'd like to follow along on HBO Max.
Can't wait.
For those of you who would like to follow along and play along with One Beer Friday, that is underway. Well, for some of you, it's already underway, but for us, it'll be underway in about 30 minutes. But you can always tweet at us what you're drinking to start this weekend. It's going to be beautiful weather this weekend, even though it's windier than all crap.
It is very windy today.
Which is par for the stupid course.
Yeah, when I went over into Council Bluffs, go over the bridge, and it was like, oh, hello, this wind is very noticeable right now.
What's up with all the wind?
Yep.
We still have our Friday friend. Can't have a Friday without our Friday friend. Chris Basnett will join us in about 15 minutes. And the happy hour with said One Beer Friday, all straight ahead here on 1620 The Zone.